The perfect pizza is one topped with...
Okay, guys, let's talk about this. Let's break this down.
Okay. It's time to get serious.
Okay, so the perfect pizza.
All right, welcome to Rated NA, the podcast for the website nerdappropriate.com. This is episode number 181, and I'm your host, Matt.
And I'm Scott.
And I'm Ash.
And it's a special episode. Tell them why, Ash.
Alix Wilton Regan is back for round 2. And
All
this
right.
time she's here to talk about being the Inquisitor in Dragon Age Inquisition. So much quisiting going on, I don't even know what to do with myself.
It's fantastico.
It is fantastic.
It was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
That was awesome. She's a lot of fun. This one has a lot of laughs. You know, I didn't realize, and we'll dig into it in the interview, but she was in the booth for nearly 6 months recording this part. And for those of you who have played, there's a whole lot of talking. So we'll get to hear a little bit about the process and a little bit about the game. And I think you guys will like it a whole lot.
Yeah, and also look out for the part of the interview where Ash totally derails the entire interview for some shenanigans.
You know, I was like, this is a great opportunity to pretend that I'm in the game in Dragon Age Inquisition. So I'm like, let's do some voice acting.
Yeah, you had the real deal with you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I totally abused the tiny iota of power that I have on this show.
Those are rare opportunities that you cannot pass up.
I'm like, let's do some voice acting, Alex. It'll be fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Loot Crate. Loot Crate is the monthly subscription service that gets you a nice little box delivered to your home every month full of amazing things. And this month is kind of a special month. It is anniversary because it's Loot Crate's actual year anniversary, correct?
Yeah. Crazy.
And that means they're going to include things from Batman's 75th anniversary and Marvel's 75th anniversary and Ghostbusters' 30th anniversary and The Simpsons' 25th anniversary and many more awesome stuff. And you, as a listener, can go to lootcrate.com/ratedNA and use the code RATEDNA to get 10% off your subscription. And that will get you in on cool stuff like an exclusive Funko Pop this month item.
But
and that
nothing
Funko
from the
stuff is
band
always
anniversary, right?
and a free track from the band anniversary. I think.
That's a lie.
That's a lie.
It's factually incorrect.
If you were ever thinking like, hey, I want to get those nerd appropriate guys a Christmas present,
Yes.
get yourself a Christmas present by getting a Loot Crate, and then you get us a little present too. So it's sort of like a selfish
It's
Christmas
like
present.
the Giving Tree.
Yeah, kind of like that.
You pay it forward is what you do.
Yeah.
I never read The Giving Tree. Is it about somebody who gets themselves something that also gives something to somebody else?
Yeah, it's about a little boy who subscribed to Loot Crate, actually, and he helped out his favorite podcast.
So that was
His
a
or
really
her.
fitting reference, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's
For
actually
sure.
where we got the whole idea for the show. It's 4 years later, it all comes full circle.
Finally.
Wow.
We've been working hard on that.
That's amazing.
So, Scott,
Hey,
what have
what's
you been
up?
up to this week?
Oh man, I have a problem.
This better not involve Assassin's Creed.
It actually does.
Oh,
And
Are you collecting feathers again?
man, I know, like, I think our longtime listeners are fully aware of my history with this game. We have like a love-hate relationship, sort of like, I keep coming back, and I know that, I know what to expect. I know what's going to happen, and it keeps happening, and I keep playing it. So I've fallen into a hole with Assassin's Creed Rogue, and, I like it. I have a problem, you guys. I think I'm going to need an intervention. But
Right.
on the flip side, I did do something else. I started playing Telltale's Game of Thrones game with my wife.
Oh, nice.
you?
Because she is a Game of Thrones fan, so I said, hey, why don't we sit down? I'll play and you watch, and, if there's anything you want me to do, just tell me and I'll make those decisions. And she's already had me execute somebody, so we're off to a good start.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so,
She shouted at the scream, "Execute him!"
no, it was just kind of like, me saying, hey, should I kill this guy? And she's like, yeah, he was being a dick. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
stab, he's dead.
Nice.
End of story. So anyways, that's enough of me. I've been working a lot. So how about Matt? What's up, man?
Let's see. More Halo. I've been trying to beat the fucking first Halo. I feel like I've just degenerated as a shooter. Like I'm just not as good as I used to be at Halo.
Okay.
But that game is also frustratingly difficult. It is a very hard game to play on. Am I on veteran or
Heroic, I think you said.
heroic? Yeah, whatever the above normal is. It's more difficult than I remember. But so I pick that up and I play for like half an hour, and then I sigh heavily after I've replayed the same like chunk of a level 6 times, and then I turn that off. But I also started Dragon Age.
Heyo.
Nice.
I did the keep and ran through a story and watched a comic unfold in front of me, which was pretty neat. And then created my character and did a little kind of like you're doing Game of Thrones. I've been playing with Melissa, so she helped me like make the character. And
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, we
Cool.
like went through and like picked out what she was going to look like, and of course I
Takes
went
quite a while.
with Alex's voice,
Mhm.
and then I started played for about not very long at all. I'm like, due to the scope of the game, I believe I'm 1/1,000,000th into the game, and
It's very possible.
yeah, who knows? And I think that's about it. I haven't really had a super. Did we just record? I feel like we didn't just record.
We
but
didn't
I
just
also
record.
Don't feel like I've done a whole
The
lot.
I mean,
Weird.
I don't know if you guys want to talk about this, but I will mention that the Game Awards have transpired in the
Yeah.
time.
Oh, right.
Yeah, since our last.
We can
we
just
watched those.
congratulations to Dragon Age,
Yeah.
and let's.
It was there was a lot of Dragon Age involvement,
Yeah.
like throughout the show, which I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
was fantastic.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
think they won, right? They won Game of Year.
Yeah, and you had your Lindsay Sterling there. She came out and did a little performance, and I think there was a couple of mentions of the game throughout the show, which is really awesome for them. So
Stuff.
congratulations.
Yeah, that happened. All right, so Ash, what have you been up to?
I'm gonna get a little serious here for a minute.
Okay.
Talk about some serious business. So the cat's kind of out of the bag, and I told my students that I had a website. So
We
let's
noticed.
let's kind of do this in a very roundabout way. So for our listeners that don't know this, for the past 6.5 years, I've been a teacher, and it's been this kind of this weird balance that I have to kind of walk this fine line of like, secrecy with my students, and my students don't know that I do the website, and folks on the website, a lot of people didn't know that I was a teacher. I kind of kept that quiet too. So they're very separate things. Long story short, a little while ago, I got a job offer to do something with games, which I can't quite talk about yet, but I said yes to it, which meant that I had to leave my teaching job, which I'm in the process of leaving right now. And it's been a super rough couple weeks, I won't lie. Telling a couple hundred kids that you're not coming back is not easy. And but everyone has been so gracious and so incredibly kind to me. So I just wanted to kind of give a shout out to our listeners and our Twitter followers for being super nice to me and saying words of encouragement. You guys are great. And a big thanks to my students as well, for those that are now listening to this, because some of them have. I know some of them have. So
Hey.
thank you guys for being awesome and supportive and understanding. And it means a whole lot. And
Well, congratulations, man. We are
Thanks.
super stoked for you.
Thanks.
Congratulations! I
Thanks,
knew you were
guys.
going to get it from the very beginning.
thanks, guys.
I hope this
And-
doesn't become like a Zack Attack situation, where you strike out on your own, your solo career.
I'm just talking into the microphone by myself.
You just leave us in the dust.
Yeah,
I believe
don't think that's
I
the case.
cracked this joke earlier a couple weeks ago that eventually it was just going to be me mumbling into the microphone about things I don't like and food that I do.
Fucking Spotify, man. Jesus.
No, leave the Facebook is separate from this podcast. We're not going to bring up Spotify.
Okay.
And then like
Oh,
years from now,
Be
we'll
like
get the
Game of
podcast
Thrones,
back
grumble,
together.
Grumble, grumble.
Yeah.
Be like friends
Oh
forever.
my god.
Always will be friends.
How do you? It's so good. I love that
That's
episode.
amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
someone out there will get that.
That's a special
But-
recall you have right there.
Yeah, but other than a lot of sleepless nights and watery bowels, that's for everyone out there. Everything's been going okay. I've been playing some Dragon Age, hanging out, doing my thing, getting ready for the holidays. and everything's going good. But I don't think people want to talk about my BS. I think people want to hear the Inquisitor tell some stories. What do you guys say?
I think that's a great idea.
All right, so guys, enjoy our chat with Alix Wilton Regan, and we'll be right back.
I shall take my leave.
Hey guys, guess who's back?
Who's that?
Alix Wilton Regan is back.
Hey.
Hey guys.
Welcome back. We're so excited to have you. And this time, we were excited to have you last time because you were here just to kind of hang out and talk about your role as trainer in Mass Effect. But now you're here, and all of us are sort of in the thralls of Dragon Age Inquisition, and we're losing sleep and kind of becoming shells of our former selves. Honestly. And you are, of course, playing the role of the female Inquisitor. Absolutely. So welcome back, first of all.
Thank you for having me back. It's lovely to be here.
Absolutely. I as soon as you got up, we had such an awesome time with you last time.
Wasn't it?
It was a lot of fun. It was like one of those episodes that, like, every once in a while we'll have a guest on and be like, oh, that person's just like really fun. I just want to go, hang out with them and, eat some food and BS with them. So yeah, we had a great time, and I'm really excited to have you back. And
thank you for asking me.
And so what's been going on for the past? It's been a year. So we had you on last November in 2013, and now it is November again. Yes. And the game just launched. But what's been going on in the past 12 months?
Dragon Age Inquisition. That's pretty much it. Dragon Age definitely took up months and months of my time. It was a complete pleasure to do because I got totally absorbed in the character and in the game and in the whole world of it. And that really, when I was on the show last time, I think I knew that I'd been cast in the player role, but we hadn't really recorded much yet.
Okay.
So I kind of had that up my sleeve, and of course I wanted to share, but of course I couldn't for obvious reasons. And then when I got back from Christmas from Christmas in January of this year, kind of got straight into the booth and didn't really leave for 6 months.
Wow, 6 months. That's incredible.
So, yeah, it was, I think that's right, January, February, March, April, May, June. Yeah, definitely 6 months. I mean, I think we sort of wrapped up recording in July. So it was 7 months even. On and off, sometimes very intensely and sometimes lighter weeks would come. But pretty much, lived at Side UK where they recorded all the dialogue. I actually moved in a camp bed. There were some nights I didn't go home.
Oh,
I had an issue with that, but I was like, no, I think I'll just stay here, guys, if that's all right. They were very friendly. Side are amazing at providing copious amounts of chocolate and fruit and delicious coffee, so I was very happy with that.
That's amazing. So you literally camped out there and recorded that dialogue for months and months and months.
To be fair, I wasn't actually allowed to sleep there, but I did make a joke several times about how would they feel if I slept there. And, I think they wanted me to go home, actually. They're fed up of seeing me. But I loved working with them. They were amazing. And I did that. And then I've just been shooting a film on an island called OC Island off the coast of Essex. And it's all has been fantastic, really. Very lucky and just having a lovely time.
That's excellent. So you did know last time you were on. You were sort of being secretive. We're like, so do you have anything in the works? And you're just like, I don't know. And I was, to be perfectly honest, I was kind of keeping my fingers crossed because they hadn't announced any of the voice cast for DAI yet. And I was just like, I honestly, being 100% sincere, I was like, oh man, Alix would be an incredible choice for, one of the primary leads, just because I really feel like you have one of those really great voices for characters. And I'm saying this after I've already, at this point, I've played 60, 70 hours of Inquisition, and I'm not sick of hearing you talk yet. So
you might be sick by the end of this interview, hon. You might be like,
nah. I'm a pretty tolerant guy. So you knew back in last November that you had been cast.
I did know that I had been cast, but I barely recorded anything.
Okay.
So, the sort of actor brain, of course, went down this route of, oh my God, the one day that I did record with them, they clearly hated, and now I've been fired, and I'm going to find out that someone else has got the job, and this is such a drag, So I sort of went down that route because I hadn't recorded much. But yeah, I knew for a while. I think even, God, you know what? I may have even known in sort of April last year. I can't remember for sure, but I'd known for a while that they were interested and that they kind of offered it, and I was so excited.
It's incredible.
And I had no idea of kind of the scope that it entailed or the journey that we were really about to embark on, you know.
I don't think the players even knew until they got the game in their hands, like how incredibly vast the game was. And, you know, I can't fathom trying to do all that dialogue. It's really just, it's a ton of work. So
it's amazing. I mean, I was very lucky. I worked with some incredible directors on this, and they were really awesome at kind of keeping me on point, you know. So depending on what section we were recording, you know, it, of course, you know, trying to keep track of all of the amazing sort of allies that I can work with, and all the people that can be in my crew, and all of that, and all the different storylines and strands. And, you know, if you've chosen to be in a relationship with Sarah, if you've not chosen to be in a relationship with Sarah, if you are an elf, if you are a mage, do you see what I'm saying? Like all the different options. And these directors were just brilliant at going, wait, no, hang on, because in this storyline you've done X, Y, Z. And I was like, yes, of course. So that influences your decision.
Keep track of.
The world is incredible. The world is incredible.
I can't imagine trying to direct something like that with so many different variables. I mean, literally, you just mentioned just the races and the classes. And I mean, in every single, there's, I think, more talking points in this game than any other BioWare game that I've ever really played. So, you know, you have 3 or 4 different dialogue options for everything that you say. I mean, the script alone must have looked like, you know, several phone books kind of glued together.
I have no idea how the writers did it, to be honest.
I don't either.
I really hope I get to meet some of the writers one day and say, like, how do you do it? Because they're the ones that are coming up with the original content, you know, like, I mean, okay, I have to keep track of it in terms of performance, and the directors kind of, you know, guide that. But how the writers do it, I have no idea. They must be like wired on copious amounts of caffeine if they are slowly tearing their hair out. You know
what's also crazy about the writers, and we've met a few of them.
Which ones have you met out of interest?
I met Patrick in.
Oh my God, I want to meet Patrick so badly. I so want to meet Patrick.
The Weekses are the nicest people you will ever meet. Yeah.
Karen and Patrick just sent me the loveliest tweets, and I actually tweeted at them the other day. Please, will you come and just live in my pocket in miniature version, so whenever I get sad, I can just pull out like Karen and Patrick.
Aren't they? Yeah, they're wonderful people.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll have to. Maybe we'll have you on in a couple weeks after we can do some spoiler talk, and we'll have Karen and Patrick on.
Oh, that would be
Karen was editing and Patrick was one of the writers, so maybe that'll be fun.
We'll do like a little round table.
Yeah, a little powwow, and we can just talk about stuff. That'll be. I like that idea. Let's do that.
Like that too.
Plan the podcast on the podcast, but anyway, we're really good at that. You know, so I mean, there's so much to talk about with this, but one of the things that you mentioned something just a moment ago that made me very, very curious. So, how were you actually approached for this role? Because you said it was actually back in April 2013 is what I think you said.
Yes.
So you've known for a while, but was it someone that was a fan of your work as trainer, or what ended up happening for you to end up getting this role?
I did trainer for BioWare in Mass Effect 3, and then a few months after I think Mass Effect had been released, I can't remember exactly how long, but Caroline called me into the studio and said, "We'd like you to record these lines." And I don't think I knew what it was for. I don't think I had been told it was for the third part in the series of Dragon Age. And I go in, and, you know, Caroline's always delicious and delightful, and said down the wire, you know, obviously we know what your voice sounds like, but we just want to hear you saying these lines and kind of get a feel. And this role is kind of, you know, she's kind of a warrior, and she's kind of like this, she's kind of like that. So just, you know, have a stab at it, really. And I did, and I didn't quite know what it was for. But I think I suspected, you know, because I knew that there would obviously be a part 3 of Dragon Age. And then I found out, I can't remember how long afterwards, maybe, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks later. And I got this lovely email saying, you know, we'd love for Alix to play the player character in Dragon Age Inquisition, or the third part of Dragon Age, whatever it was called then. And would she like to do it? I was like, of course, I would love to do it. That would be amazing. And that was it, really.
That's excellent.
Yeah, and then what was really nice was that when BioWare put out a tweet saying something like, hey guys, whose voices would you like to see in the upcoming Dragon Age? Whose voices would you like to hear? Who would you like to be involved? Some very kind fans, sort of said, we'd love to have Alix Wilton Regan in it. And that was, of course, completely lovely and sort of made me feel like, oh, okay, cool. BioWare haven't lost their marbles. Maybe they are doing a good thing by casting me as the Inquisitor.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. No, it's been great.
That's great. So that kind of segues pretty well into the next question I want to ask you. So the reception for the game has been really incredibly positive. Yeah. Where were you when you started first seeing, the first reviews and hearing sort of the fan response to the game? I just kind of want to I want to be a fly on the wall for a moment and just kind of I want you to tell us what it felt like to see all that positivity all of a sudden.
It was amazing. So I was probably reading it on my iPhone via a link on Twitter or something like that. And I saw that this colleague of mine called Ben, who also works in gaming, he'd sent me a tweet saying like, hey, have you seen this review? And they say Alix Wilton Regan's voice work is outstanding.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow, that's cool. So that was like the first thing I read, that this reviewer had played with my voice and called the work outstanding, which was an incredible thing.
If my memory serves, that was one of the really big sites too. It was like either Polygon or Kotaku or one of the really big. It was a Kotaku. Yeah, one of the very large gaming sites called you out, which I thought was awesome for you. So
no, it was insanely brilliant. That was the first one I read, and then the next one I read. Again, can't quite remember which site it was, but they gave us 9 out of 10. And I was like, okay, that's awesome. And then I saw another one that gave us 100 out of 100. And I was like, that's fantastic. As in whoever's voice they're using, whether it's mine or Harry's or either of the American voices is irrelevant. The fact is that they are loving the world of the game.
Absolutely.
They're loving the scope and they're loving the stories and they're loving all the characters. And also for me, like, I just feel really, 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 happy for BioWare. And I know this might sound weird, but I feel very proud of them as well. Like, that might sound like a strange thing to say because I'm like such a small cog in the wheel compared to them, compared to the editors and the writers and the developers and the designers and the artists and, the visionaries and the people who are putting it all together. I'm such a small cog in that wheel, but I just feel so, proud of them that they set this bar so high. And they pushed for this incredible standard throughout the recording process, throughout the development process, throughout the writing process. And they've just flown. They've jumped. They set the bar high. They have jumped over the bar. They've leapt past it. They've gone stratospheric, and they deserve every success. Like, I so fundamentally mean that because they are, they're, what's the word? They're committed to absolutely bringing the best, and I respect that.
No, and they don't I agree, and it's funny. Just as a fan of their work, they don't pay us or anything like that, but we cover a lot of their stuff just because we generally like the stuff that they make. I knew when the reviews were going to go live, and they were going to go live like right around midnight, about a week before the game release, and I actually set the alarm on my phone because I went to sleep. I went to sleep before work. I set the alarm on my phone. I'm like, I'm going to wake up and read a couple reviews because I was nervous for them. I've met so many of them over the past like 3 or 4 years that have, been working on the game.
And you want it to be great, right?
And I was just like, man, I haven't really I actually give a shit about these people.
Yeah.
Because I woke up, I read the reviews, and I'm like, oh, the reviews are good. And I went back to sleep. I was like, oh man.
I feel the same. I sometimes think that Karen and Patrick are like bigger fans of mine than my parents are. Do you know what I mean? and so you just you're so invested, and I just so wanted it to do well for them. And when these reviews started coming in, I was just like, yes. It just. They smashed it, and I mean that in the British sense of the word, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like
not getting inebriated and falling down.
Yeah.
No, smashed it like tennis ace, like a sort of, so yeah,
that's
it's
great.
Yeah, no, really happy.
You told a hilarious story on Twitter a few weeks back that I have to kind of bring up. This was when you were trying to explain to your grandparents
Oh, this is brilliant.
This was really funny. I had to bring this up because it's so
90,
ridiculous.
by the way, in February. So, like, this man has achieved serious status in my eyes. So, yeah,
That's
sorry,
amazing. No, so you were trying to explain to your grandparents what exactly your role was in this game, and you're sort of asking the community, like, how do I explain like what it is that I'm doing? And in your grandparents' defense, like, I try and explain to like what my mom, what I do like at Nerd Appropriate and stuff, and she doesn't get it at all either. So can you just tell us a little bit about the conversation that you were having with your grandparents? Because I thought it was so funny.
Well, first of all, I think we should start with the basis that every time I see my grandparents or I talk to them, they kind of, pat me gently on the hand and go, "How's the career going, darling? Don't worry. Don't worry. One day things will kick off. Don't worry." Like, to the extent that, like, on the feature film that I've just finished shooting, my grandparents actually said, "And will we recognize you this time, darling?"
Oh.
And I was like, "Yes, you will, because I'm a principal character. All right, thank you very much." So first of all, they're worried about just my acting career in general. They don't quite understand it. So trying to get them to understand the world of video games is like this whole other level of, I'm sorry, what? There's a dragon? But what's it got to do with the Spanish Inquisition? No, it's not. It's got nothing to do with the Spanish Inquisition, Grandma, okay? It's called Dragon Age Inquisition, right? And there's an Inquisitor, and I play the Inquisitor. Oh, right. But so what do you do exactly? And I was like, well, I've kind of got to, like, save the world. And they're like, so are you an American? I'm like, no, okay, it's not like literally the world.
No.
It's not literally the world. It's like a world, a very vast world, okay? And it goes on for hours, and you can, there are these people who kind of look like bulls, and they're kind of like, they're called Kunaris. And I'm sorry, what, darling? And then when I'm trying to explain about elves, is like, no, but the fans' responses were so brilliant. I wish I had the best ones in front of me now, because some people sent me some absolutely brilliant things. But I kind of surmised it with, all you need to know is that I'm going to save the world. That's it. That's basically it. And that there's lots of people who really, really love it, and that they're very kind. And they will still finish that conversation by patting me on the hand and going, "One day, darling, it'll happen for you one day. Don't worry."
Oh, no.
I think all parents and grandparents are like that to a degree. No matter what you're doing, you could be, literally in real life saving the world and be like, maybe one day you'll have it figured out.
No, absolutely. But they are so brilliant. They're so funny. They make me laugh.
That was a really funny exchange. Everyone should follow Alix on Twitter and listen to exchanges like that, because they happen
About my
quite
grandparents.
frequently. Yeah.
I mean, it's just madness. He my grandma says, I don't know if you read this one. My grandma goes, "Can you pass me Charlie, dear?" I said, "Grandma, who's Charlie?" She says, "Oh, it's my walking stick." Okay, so I pick up this walking stick. I pass her Charlie. And then Grandpa goes, "Darling, can you pass me Lord Lucan?" I said, "Grandpa, who the hell is Lord Lucan?" He was a serial killer. Like, my grandpa has named his walking stick after a serial killer. I think that tells you everything you need to know about my grandparents.
I think they're amazing, and I would actually love to hang out with them.
Do you know what? To be honest, we should get them on here. They're far more interesting than I am.
That'd be so fun.
They are brilliant. They are brilliant.
So let's talk just a little bit more about sort of the nuts and bolts of recording. Because to me, I'm like one of those nerds that really is interested in the process. And I know BioWare does it a little bit differently than some of the other studios. What did you do to keep yourself sort of sane while you said you were essentially camping out there for days at a time? Like, did you have any creature comforts? You mentioned chocolate, but what did you do to sort of make the process, I don't want to say tolerable, but make it less painful, because you were there, like you said, for almost 6 months?
Well, I have to say I'm very lucky that all the studios that I work in London, Side UK recorded this game, but I also work at a studio called OM UK a lot, and they have great people there. So that's always a pleasure. You come in, working with good people is like half the battle. People that you can laugh with between takes, people that take the piss out of you when you get grumpy or if you're complaining, or do you know what I mean? People who even say things to you like, "Oh, sounds like you had a late night last night. Did you, Alix?" I'm like, "No, I don't know what you mean. I'll get a honey and lemon." I'm most insistent on a large bottle of water. That's about as diva-ish as I get. Is I need like a really big, like 2-liter bottle of water. That makes me very happy. And chocolate. But the chocolate is terrible for the voice when you're in the booth. Anyone else would probably tell you like chocolate is the death knell of an actor's voice.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really bad because it's dairy and it coats your throat. I bet the professionals don't actually eat chocolate. I bet if you said to Jen Hale, do you eat chocolate? She'd go like, hell no. Okay. But I'm still learning. I've still got a while to go. And I think it was, do you know what really kept me going was the excitement of it, to be honest, and the writing. The writing was great. And when you get a good scene, that entertains me just as an individual. Does that make sense? Like just me as Alex, not even Alex the actor. It's entertaining for me to be there reading this scene and hearing the other actors' responses and all the rest of it. So that was great, having great writing to work off. And just kind of occasionally going like, oh my God, I'm playing the Inquisitor. This is so exciting. You know, that kind of sort of like
the thing that's so exciting. The thing that's so exciting about it is it's a title that's so big. I mean, people are going to be playing as your character for years and years and years and years and years, and that has to just feel incredibly cool to know that you've essentially kind of become part of the zeitgeist of gaming for a very, very long time. Like people are going to be playing as your character for. I
hadn't even actually thought of that. That's really interesting. You're kind of the first person to have said that. I'm kind of glad I didn't think of that. I think I would have got really nervous. I'm kind of glad that I didn't actually think of that myself.
They're gonna play the game. They're gonna think about it when it's done. They're gonna play it a second time or a third time.
Yeah, they're gonna.
Hopefully, they'll get a run through of everyone's voice as well, because I'm sure everyone's done a fantastic job.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, I'm looking forward to after I'm done in a million hours of playing my playthrough with your character. I'm interested in checking out some of the other guys too. So
it's so funny because I know Harry quite well because we've worked together on other acting jobs in the UK. Harry and I would occasionally leave little messages and props for each other in the booth because he'd go in for the morning session for 4 hours and then I'd go in for the afternoon session for 4 hours. By which point our poor director probably wanted to kill himself, having to do 8 hours a day with us. But I would occasionally, walk into the booth and find a slightly rude message scrawled on a piece of paper, left for me, something like, don't screw it up, Alex.
Oh, yeah.
That's
and I'd
great.
sort of reply with something equally cutting for the next day. But that was fun, leaving each other little messages and sort of keeping in touch and seeing how it was going and that kind of thing.
Well, speaking about having fun in the recording booth, maybe we can talk a little bit about the video that BioWare made about spit takes. So that was
poor Conal. Poor Conal.
Yeah, very hilarious.
Amazing. He's the dude. Like, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know where he's come from, but he just shows up in London and asks me to spit all over him. To which I replied, "You know that will cost you extra, don't you?" But yeah, he's amazing. No, Conal's amazing.
Yeah, that was really funny. How did do you know how that video came to be? Was that just something that the community team came up with out of curiosity?
No idea. I don't know who came up with it. I mean, Caroline came to London, Conal came to London, and Jess, who used to be, Jess Marzipan, as she calls herself on Twitter, was there as well. And if anyone else was there, by the way, and I'm forgetting about you, I do apologize. I was very preoccupied with spitting on this poor man.
Yeah.
And I go in, I see them, and they say, okay, so we're going to do some spit takes, and then we're going to do an interview. And I didn't want to look stupid, so I was like, yeah, sure, spit takes, and then an interview. Yeah, that all sounds great. And then you're going to talk to the fans. I was like, yep, I'll talk to the fans. That's fine. I'll act with the fans. That's totally fine. So they're like, okay, cool. So let's go into the booth and we'll start the spit takes. I didn't even know what a spit take was, right? So it was like, sorry, what am I doing?
You're spitting all over this guy.
I know, but the thing is because I didn't know what a spit take was, and I think maybe it was a bit early and I hadn't had coffee or whatever, something like that. I really, I fundamentally could not understand what they were asking me to do. They may as well have been asking me in Chinese, right? I did not understand. And they kept trying to kind of explain it, and I couldn't get it. And Conal basically finished with, "You're going to be spitting on me." And I was like, what do you mean spitting? He was like, literally spitting on me. And I stopped and I went, okay, that'll cost you extra.
And it's hilarious too because he just stands there motionless the whole time throughout the video. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you
I
also
honestly...
see how I'm trying not to crack up though? Can you see my face trying not to laugh? Oh,
I mean, yeah. How could you not? I mean, I think that's probably one of the funniest things BioWare's produced. I love that video too, and I think it's good because I think it showed fans that you have this great sense of humor, and I think that goes a long way too. So.
Oh, good. No, it means a lot. They were, they were totally game. They were totally willing. Phil, the studio manager, stepped in at one point and was like, "Guys, there's water everywhere."
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, and I think Caroline was like, "Yeah, we have a towel for that somewhere." It was really funny. We did a few takes. They were all amazing. I tried not to laugh, but by the end was just in floods of tears, you know. And he was so poker faced.
Mm-hmm.
He was just
he
like,
was.
like nothing. You know, nothing. No,
Shirt was like soaking wet too. It was super for real. There must have been like 10 to 20 takes in that video alone. It was awesome.
Yeah. Good stuff. So we're obviously, the game is too new to really talk about major plot stuff or spoilers. So we're going to keep things light and not tick off people because no one wants to hear spoilers. But in terms of when you do get to play, because you just got your copy today.
I got it today. I'm very excited.
I know you're going to be nerding out with the rest of us.
So I'm getting, tonight is the night that it's going to happen.
You're going to be playing as yourself this evening, which is amazing. Who do you think, just from your sessions in the booth, do you have a target for who you might romance as yourself?
I can't answer that. Come on.
I was trying to phrase this as non-perverted as possible.
In a relationship for 4 years. I mean, that might be the death knell of us. All of my potential romances are very delicious and very delightful in their own individual ways. That will be my diplomatic answer.
That is your perfect answer, and that will not tick anyone off.
There you go. And if any of the other actors are listening, you all did a great job, and you all did it for me, and my heart belongs to all of you.
There you go. That's a safe answer.
I know. You always have to ask the romance questions when you have, because people are expecting the romance questions. So you got to ask. One thing that is, I do, one of the things I'm noticing, I guess I should say, is that there are a lot of really important themes in this game. And I don't want to get too into it because, again, I don't want to spoil anything. But, thematically, David Gator and Patrick Weeks and the rest of the writers, they tackled some really controversial stuff that's like that are actual hot topics in today's modern society. And they're sort of, I don't want to say disguised in Dragon Age Origins, but there's racism and there's homophobia. Did anything? Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of, religious controversy. Did any of that really stand out to you when you were recording? Did you or resonate with you, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, all of it really did. Sort of all of the themes that you just touched on really. There was something about, I remember recording some dialogue about markings on my face. If you choose to make me, I think it's a particular, is it the Dalish that have marks on their faces or elves or something like that?
Dalish.
Yeah, the Dalish. And I remember recording a passage about that where my character confronts another about, is it because of the marks on my face? And then the different reasons as to why the markings would be there, and sort of, ideas about slavery and ownership, and what we think of as beautiful versus what we think of as not beautiful. And I remember that really resonating about the way that we look at people and what we see and what we make that mean versus what the truth of the situation could actually be. For just, on a really basic level, like if you see someone, for example, with an arm missing, we don't know if they were born like that or if they lost it in service at war or if they contracted something that unfortunately meant they, do you see what I mean? And it just sort of really made me realize, like, there's what we attribute meaning to, but we actually have no idea what it means.
Absolutely.
And ultimately it's not really important. It's about the person underneath, not their physical being. I remember that really resonated with me.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great answer. And you're absolutely right. I mean, that is one of the themes. I didn't even really, since there's so many, like, kind of really heavy themes in this game, I think it really does a great job of I mean, while you can play the role if you choose to be a total asshole, I think you also have the option of really kind of exploring, good and evil, right and wrong, and kind of looking at our real world through a different lens and maybe kind of gaining a new understanding of, some of the hardships a lot of people go through, whether it be homophobia or racism or what have you. So I think they did a great job of that.
Racism, sexism, ageism.
Yeah.
There's a moment where Iron Bull says something about being too tall, and there's a moment where Varric says something about being too short.
It's good that we're finally getting to the point in games where they are, they are so topical, they are so real. It's
they can be reflective of our society as well.
Yeah, and it's pretty fascinating that we've gotten to that place. I just remember, gosh, not even 6-7 years ago, like there was nothing like this really in existence in terms of the depth of story that they do with these BioWare games. So
absolutely, the depth of story, and I also understand why, for example, some gamers would find that challenging. I do understand that, and that everyone is different and everyone is entitled to their opinion, of course. And what I think is fantastic about BioWare is they are respecting the gamers who still just want to play as the straight heterosexual human male, for example, if that's their choice. And there is nothing wrong with that. Like, I can't stress that enough. Everyone has the right to play who they want to play as, and that should be respected. But when I do say everyone, I also mean everyone, who has, for example, different sexual preferences or different, who wants to play a different race or have different opinions or, be a different height. Or does that make sense?
No, it really should be about
everyone.
Yeah, there's something there for everyone to relate to, and people will get different things out of the out of the same experience. People will react to that in different ways, and some things will resonate with people differently than others. But because of the scope of the game, I think there's something there for everybody, which is really part of its success. Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks gorgeous.
It does.
I really think
looks
it does
so good.
Look gorgeous.
They did a great job.
It's funny that you say that, because I went to one of the environments today, which is on the coast, and I literally just watched the waves crash against the shore for 30 seconds. I took a video of it. It's so beautiful. The game looks so good.
Yeah, it really does.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
No, that's gorgeous to hear. Is that where the crows are and stuff? Like literally on the sea, and it's all grey?
Yeah, this was at the Storm Coast. Yeah, I basically just walked out to the edge of the ocean and then just watched the waves like crash against the mountainside. I was like, wow, this is really amazing. Yeah,
yeah. That actually reminds me of Northern Ireland, just as a little aside. My mother's Northern Irish, so I spent a lot of time there as a kid. But yeah, anyway, sorry, just a little aside.
No, I love the asides.
But it was very reminiscent, and I really liked it. Yeah.
I mean, the fun thing about doing interviews is I love asides more than just like hammering away at questions, because then I sort of feel like the Inquisitor, like I'm interrogating you. So if you just want to like talk about hanging out on islands, I'm more than happy to listen to that.
No, that sounds good.
So we do have some questions from the community,
go for it.
and there's some good ones here. One of these is from Alexander Haley, who is at AlexJDH on Twitter. And he says, considering the amount of potential different Inquisitors, how did you imagine the Inquisitor when you were acting? Which is a really cool question.
That is a really good question, and a really fundamental question, and also a really tough question.
It is. It is a hard question.
Because it's of course, it's the one that everyone kind of wants to know. And I guess I had to believe that my job as the actor playing the Inquisitor was just to serve you guys, the player. My job is to make every choice that you opt for as realistic and as believable as if you were making that choice yourself, And I mean, I have my own personal opinions about the Inquisitor and, what I would go for if I was playing it, and what I probably will go for and how I see her. But it was really just, I think it goes back to that thing about respecting all the individual choices, all the individual options that BioWare presents you with, and really, as an actor, investing in that and really believing in that and really communicating that as an actor, so that whatever you, the player, choose to do, I can do that as authentically as possible for you guys.
Yeah.
So that you're like, yeah, that is exactly what just happened. I just romanced Sarah, for example, or yep, that's exactly what just happened. I totally rejected Sarah. Do you see what I mean? It's that thing, and it's about delivering an authenticity for you guys, really.
Which I'm going to do this as spoiler free as possible, but I romanced Sarah as you last night, and it was hilarious. It was probably one of my favorite Bioware romance scenes, so it was great.
Really funny. The actress who plays Sarah is brilliant.
She's hilarious.
She had me in stitches.
That giggle she has, it's like this weird, like nerdy snort that she's constantly.
I know.
They're really, really funny.
I know. She's brilliant. They're all brilliant. I mean, I remember recording scenes with the actor who plays Cole, and just he's so ethereal and so weird, and so
yeah. No, I agree. Everyone's great. I joked on Twitter the other day, like normally, I really fall in love with certain characters in these games, and I'm having a really hard time because I like all of them right now.
Yeah, but Freddie Prinze Jr.'s voice is the Iron Bull. I have to. Honest, like I did look forward to my scenes with him. I'm not.
No, he's great.
His voice is so insanely brilliant, you know, and he's funny as hell. So slight anger issues potentially. Sometimes.
Yeah, he was hilarious. We had him on a couple of weeks ago, and he basically did a speech. He did a Winston Churchill speech as the Iron Bull.
Did he really?
Yeah.
But he said his Winston Churchill wasn't the actual Winston Churchill, but one that he had seen in a film. So he was doing an actor's rendition of Winston Churchill doing a speech about Dragon Age Inquisition. It was ridiculous.
Oh wait, hang on. So he was doing a speech as if he were Winston Churchill.
Yeah, but he also said Churchill was the inspiration for Iron Bull's voice.
Yeah.
So I thought that was awesome, and so he did. The "Will not flag or fail" speech. The famous Churchill speech. He did that as Iron Bull, and it was great, absolutely great.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
He did. I used to look forward to my scenes with him a lot. And Allegra, who plays Josephine.
Yes, yeah.
I got talking to her on Twitter, and she did a fantastic job as well. And it was really funny because I'm not going to lie, I have told her this story. The first time she contacted me on Twitter to say, hey, I just want you to know that I'm in the game with you, and I'm really excited. And this was by private messaging. She sent me a message going like, hey, I just want you to know I'm in the game with you, and I'm really excited, and you sound really great, and it's just awesome, and I'm so happy that you've been given the role of the Inquisitor, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, whatever, honey. You're clearly a journalist. You're clearly get it out of me, all right? Because I'd signed like so many NDAs to not talk about it. And I get this message. I was like, yeah, you think I'm going to fall for that? I'm not going to fall for that. And then, of course, I realized that she was genuinely.
You thought somebody was trying to get some secret information from you, huh?
I really did. And I was like, ha ha ha. No, je ne pense pas. Do you know? Like, I'm not going to fall for this. But yeah, so that was really good as well. That was very funny though. I was so convinced. I told her this. She was like, no, I'm not a journalist, I promise.
Yeah, we've known Allegra for actually years now, just from going to conventions and stuff. She's good people, so.
Yeah, she is, definitely.
Awesome. Well, we have some lightning round questions, and these are just questions.
Any other Twitter questions?
I think we might have one or two more. Hold on. Yes, here's one. Do you play games that you work on, or is it too weird hearing your own voice speaking to you? And this one is from Alix Quisitor.
Alix Quisitor, good name. My man is definitely more of the gamer in the household. He played Mass Effect 3, which was brilliant because I got to see myself as trainer and I kind of got to explore that world a bit. I've just received Dragon Age Inquisition, and I'm going to be playing it tonight. And I'm a massive narcissist, so yeah, I will be using my voice.
I think we all would. I mean, you don't have to be a narcissist. That's like the coolest thing ever
absolutely
to run around this giant, magical world as yourself would be the coolest thing ever. So
I think maybe like 3 or 4 hours in, I might be like, oh, I'm so regretting this choice. Initially, I think it'll be amazing.
I don't think you'll regret it, and we can also give you fair warning that the character creation system is extremely nuanced and detailed. So you could actually spend hours tonight alone just creating your character. Like the way your character looks, the cheekbones, the hair, the face,
it's
everything.
amazing. People have been tweeting me their pictures of their Inquisitors, and it's so imaginative, and everyone's is so different, which I love. I got this really cool picture. I can't remember who from, but she's like tanned, and then like half her head is shaved, and I was like, she's like a badass, like shaved head, like flipped over to one side, like some really cool, like really pale Kunaris, like this white skin, and just they all look amazing. They all look amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that speaks to, like you said, it speaks to the challenge of trying to record as the Inquisitor, but also realizing that the Inquisitor could be, could look like a million different people, right?
Yeah. 100%.
Very cool. So we have another one. This one's from Brandon Jonley, and he says, what is it like transitioning from a smaller role in Mass Effect 3 to being the main protagonist? Were you nervous? And I think you kind of answered that a little bit before we started recording, but what was that like?
I was so nervous. I was so insanely nervous. I can't even stress how nervous I was. I was so nervous that I could barely speak on the first few recording sessions, to be perfectly frank. And I was always convinced that they were going to fire me. I was like, surely this is some mistake. This is like, surely this is sample sessions, and they're going to hear them. They're going to be like, "Oh, we're so sorry, Alex, but Harry's going to play like the man and the woman. We've decided."
Oh no!
I was so insanely nervous. Felt really out of my depth. Really grateful for all the support that kind of came in from BioWare and from the directors and the people I was working with. And like genuinely, in the most, just from the bottom of my heart, like I could not have done it without them. Like I couldn't have, because I needed that guidance. I needed that support around me. And then slowly, and by slowly I mean about 3 or 4 months in, I started to find my feet, and felt less nervous. And of course, what was gorgeous is that I realized that the more you relax, the better the quality of work that you produce. The freer you are, the further you can travel with your expressions and with your voice. Yeah. And the more I started to enjoy it as well. And in terms of transitioning, from trainer to the Inquisitor, it's the biggest honor in the world. Like, of course it is. It's, it's incredibly humbling to have people believe in you that much. And it makes for a gorgeous experience. And then the reaction from the fans has been so supportive and just so brilliant. And the reviews, it really, I just feel very lucky, and I feel just very privileged, and just hope I haven't peaked too soon. No. I hope it's not like, I hope that I continue to get given these gorgeous big roles in these expansive games.
I think you're going to be pretty good to go.
Totally.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine. Because normally, you do see some naysayers in the community or in the press about games or voice work or what have you. I haven't seen anything negative, one negative thing about your work in this game. So everyone's loving it. I think you're doing a kick-ass job.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
I've tried not to Google it too much, because I'm always frightened on falling across the the really mean stuff.
Yeah.
But thank you. That means a lot.
No, yeah, absolutely. So are you ready for some ridiculous lightning round questions?
Correct. I'm so ready.
So these are just kind of designed to give brief answers, and we'll see what happens.
My eyes. Focusing in.
All right. Okay. So the first one is, what is the first movie you remember seeing in the movie theater?
I know this answer. Okay. The first movie that I saw that I vaguely remember seeing was called The Rescuers Down Under.
I remember that movie. Yeah.
I believe it may be a film by Disney, potentially.
I think it may have been.
I was about 5. My brother was 2. And my mother tells this story that my little brother had to keep going out the cinema, into the toilet, out the cinema, into the toilet. And at one point, she comes back in to the cinema, And it's the scene where the albatross has crash landed into a pile of laundry. So he crash lands into this line with laundry hung up on it. And the line of laundry stops him from, tipping off the edge of the house or whatever it is. So he crash lands. And all my mum hears is me screaming at the top of my lungs, Mum, it's a bois! That is my first filmic memory of the cinema.
See, I love answers like that. Excellent. That's amazing. Mine was, I remember seeing Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
That's a weird first movie.
It is. It was Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. I don't know why my parents took me. I was like 2 or 3 years old.
Education. That is better than albatrosses in bras. Right. Okay, that is great education.
I just remember being terrified. There's a scene in that movie where there's these ear slug things that go into Chekhov's ear and possess his mind or something like that. I remember being terrified of things getting in my ears after that. So it can be very traumatizing. Okay, next lightning round question. What are your favorite television shows, and do you even watch TV?
I watch a lot of TV. Yeah, I think the caliber of TV at the moment is extraordinary. I really think we're in the golden age of TV.
I agree.
Yeah, we really are. Like, I mean, obviously, the US pretty much kicks everyone else's ass. Like, let's be honest about it. Specifically, HBO makes a very big dent in everyone else's life.
Yeah.
But I've watched all of Game of Thrones. I have watched The Wire. Really got me into it. The Wire is extraordinary. But then, moving from The Wire to House of Cards, what I wouldn't give for a role in House of Cards. Oh, my Lord, you have no idea.
That's a great show. It really is.
Extraordinary. But then, in the UK at the moment, we've got this series out called The Fall with Gillian Anderson and Jamie Dornan, and I highly recommend tuning into it if you haven't seen it.
I have not seen it, no.
Season 1 has been and gone, and Season 2 is airing at the moment. If you can get hold of it, it's called The Fall. It is the most brutal psychological drama you will watch in a long time.
I like that kind of stuff too.
But then I also love, stuff from the Netherlands. The Killing and The Bridge were both extraordinary, and I watched them all. I really
did The Bridge start in the Netherlands?
Yeah, isn't it? Oh gosh, I'm going to get this wrong, and then someone's going to tweet at me and tell me I'm stupid.
No, you might be totally right.
I do get it a bit wrong, but Denmark, that's the Netherlands, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think. Oh gosh, this has all gone wrong. From talented.
We're never right on this show, so don't worry about that. We've been right maybe twice ever.
I wasn't questioning the actual country of origin. It's just that the U.S. redid it. It's another one of the shows the U.S. redid.
We steal everything. That's the United States.
I didn't realize it had an originator. I was like, I didn't know there was an original one, because the U.S. version is like gripping as hell. It's crazy.
Oh really? Well, yeah, it definitely started elsewhere in Europe, but also like Boardwalk Empire I've just completed, and it was amazing. Breaking Bad I have not done yet, and that is high on the list. I know.
That's
don't
really
about
good.
it. I know it's too good.
There's too much to watch. There's just too many shows on TV.
Luther, have you guys heard of Luther from BBC One? Starring Idris Elba, who obviously was Stringer Bell in The Wire.
Yes.
We're
going to have you back on, and you and I are just going to talk about The Wire for an hour and a half.
I really could, though. I really could. I think it's fun to change TV, so I happily could.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, you watch a lot of good TV. I was super happy with that answer. That was great. All right, here. This one's even a little bit more ridiculous. You are stranded on a desert island, and a small box washes up on shore. Yes. What is inside that box?
How much can I have?
It's all up to you.
Okay, there is definitely a Swiss Army penknife, the biggest version possible. There's definitely a first aid kit. Oh my God, I'm so practical. This is really practical. So there's like a Swiss Army penknife, a first aid kit. There is an unlimited supply of strawberry Ribena. I
like the unlimited supply.
I like strawberry Ribena a lot. If I could, how big is the box? Like, can my boyfriend fit the company?
Can your boyfriend fit in the box?
just says it's a small box. That's all the question says.
A small box. I guess it depends on how big your boyfriend is.
He's not going to fit in a small box. Okay, so what's in the small box? I learned this one in school. A mirror. You should always have a mirror, because when a plane flies overhead, you push the mirror up in the direction of the sun to attract attention. You see? Again, showing my practical side. It would be great if I could have like some amazing music, maybe on an iPod or a MacBook Pro, something like that would be awesome. Some really good books. I've got loads of books I'm reading at the moment. Actually, I'm kind of reading.
You're getting more of like a giant crate.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, all of this can still fit in a small box,
Yeah, I mean, why not? We'll just bring everything.
In fact, if we're going to be really practical about it, guys, let's forsake the books and go for a Kindle. Let's go for a solar-powered Kindle.
Perfect.
Sun cream would be really useful, as would shampoo and conditioner, because I don't like covered in salt.
This list just keeps going.
One of those microfiber towels, that dries really quickly in the sun, would be great, obviously. Am I allowed anything else? Or have I exceeded my limit?
A solar Blu-ray player with the wire box set.
It's so good to watch and watch. Obviously, I do think that the complete works of Shakespeare would just keep you entertained for years, especially for me as an actor.
Until help arrives, right?
Until help arrives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which with the aid of my mirror. You see what I've done there?
You have the survival instinct. I love it.
I really do, so badly. Like, I really want to do a survival film. I'm not even going to pretend that I don't.
Wow.
It's my golden life. So yeah.
That was an amazing answer. All right, so here we go. The perfect pizza is one topped with...
Okay, guys, let's talk about this. Let's break this down.
Okay. It's time to get serious.
Okay. So the perfect pizza is a thin crust base with a little bit of crunch on the outside, but also lightly drizzled in olive oil so that the crust doesn't go too dry. Okay. On top of this delicious pizza is a beautiful fresh tomato sauce. And on top of that, we're going to put a light mozzarella cheese, but then we're going to complement the mozzarella with some blobs, wait for it, of buffalo mozzarella cheese. You see what I'm talking about? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I love the dramatic pause.
Okay. On top of this, we're throwing on some lightly char-grilled peppers, preferably just the red and yellow ones, because no one really likes the green ones, let's be honest. Then we're going to throw on top of this, we're going to throw some aubergines. We might throw, oh God, that's so good. We're going to throw on some sprouting broccoli, which when you put it in the wood-burning oven, because obviously it's a wood oven, it's just going to get lightly char-grilled, and that's going to taste so good, because with that, we're going to put on some olives. We've got, maybe, if we wanted to be a little bit different, we're going to put a little bit of spicy Italian sausage on the top, which would be so good right now.
Excellent.
I am getting a pizza tonight.
Yay!
I'm dead serious. I think that is in my cards now.
I was literally leaning into the microphone as you were doing that, like trying to listen as intently as possible. Yeah.
That sounds so good.
So was I. It is incredible, and I will be eating it tonight in all seriousness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely tweet a picture of that pizza. We want to see it.
I will.
All right. We're almost done with these lightning round
Take
questions.
note, Internet.
I like the lightning round questions.
They're fun. These are goofy, silly questions.
I think if you ever show up at a convention, you know what you're getting now, too. Everyone's going to bring you pizza.
You're not going to get a brown, nasty washcloth this time.
Right. Oh, that was fun. Yeah.
You didn't get pizzas. All right. So this is a self-indulgent activity I'm about to ask you to take part in. I'm going to play the role of a dwarf. Okay. And I am going to approach you as the Inquisitor with a question. So, hey, this is worse for me. I am not a professional by any means.
You're not like sleepy, dopey, grumpy.
No, I'm going to be like a Dragon Age style, style dwarf. So, kind of the gruff dwarf. And I'm going to come up and just ask you like a Dragon Age question. And if you will answer as the Inquisitor, that would just kind of make my life. So,
okay, I'll
right.
try to make.
So here we go. By the way, the guys did not know I was doing this. I just kind of decided that I wanted to do it because I'm having fun.
Yeah, sorry, Internet.
Sorry, Internet, for this. Here we go. This is all me.
Okay.
Inquisitor.
Here we go.
Here we go. Hold on. I gotta channel my dwarf. Here we go.
Okay, right.
Okay, here we go. Inquisitor, we just encountered a group of Venatori on the other side of the Storm Coast. What should we do?
This is awful. Okay, wait. Okay.
Inquisitor, we've encountered a group of Venatori on the other side of the Storm Coast. What should we do?
Speak to Commander Cullen about chartering a boat across the seas. I'll get back to you later.
Yay!
Fantastic.
I don't know what that was.
Life goal achieved. That was awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Well, Alix, this has been so much fun. Do you have any other projects and stuff coming up that you want to plug or anything?
That I want to plug? No, I just finished this amazing film, but that won't be out for a while. Everything's sort of coming out slowly. Like, I have a lot of work in post-production. I just finished this film, and there's going to be 2 films out next year, and just kind of, follow the Twitter feed or like the Facebook fan page, and it'll all go up on there. Or I will probably be back here with you guys talking about it.
Absolutely. The door is honestly always welcome for you if you ever just want to come on and talk about The Wire, or if you want
whatever you want. Yeah.
You want to come by and run some lines, and just hang out and talk about pizza. The door is open.
Thank you.
So what is your Twitter feed, real quick, for people?
At Alix Wilton Regan. That's AlixWiltonRegan.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, and we'll have you back on soon to come and hang out. And it's been an absolute pleasure. And everyone listening, if you have not picked up Dragon Age Inquisition, please go do so. It is awesome, and it stars Alix, and she's great.
Yay!
You're very welcome.
Amazing.
All right.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Okay, thank you guys so much for listening to our chat with Alix Wilton Regan. That was awesome. She's so much fun, and maybe we'll have her back on in the future to talk about more stuff.
Our listeners will have just heard you in your voice acting debut.
Yeah,
awesome.
My dwarf. That was actually, I do a much better dwarf. I was really under the gun there, and
you didn't have time to warm up. It's understandable.
I needed to, the gargle honey and
gargle honey. I don't think people gargle honey.
They don't gargle honey. I don't know what they do.
It seems like a really rough task.
That's not what voice actors do. I don't know. This is why people don't hire me. So anyway. That was awesome, and we, huge thanks to her for coming on. Make sure you guys follow her on Twitter, and that's at Alix Wilton Regan. And, again, hopefully she comes back in the future. And you guys can always find us on Twitter, and that's at NerdAppropriate. You can email us directly. That's Matt, Scott, and Ash at nerdappropriate.com. We actually have a shout-out / plug this week as well. A long time ago, we had one of our contest winners was our friend Jazz, and she's actually in the process of doing a Kickstarter for a film that she's making now. And as someone who a long time ago in another life tried to actually make not even an indie film, just sort of like a little side project, it is so hard to make a fucking movie. And she's doing Kickstarter now for a project called Ranger Danger, and it's awesome. It's a horror film that kind of revolves around the whole idea of why law enforcement's always absent from horror films. So it's a horror comedy. It has a lot of like inside jokes in the from the horror tropes, over 50 different horror tropes, and I think it's going to be absolutely hilarious and absolutely cool. So if you guys go to her Kickstarter page for Ranger Danger, you can help out that and help out a friend of our show, and female director, female writer, great thing to support. Excellent. And we'll be back next week with some more stuff.
We sure will. Way to wrap it up. That was a very clean exit.
Yeah, nicely
Except
done.
I just ruined it.
It's all right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.
Welcome to Rated NA, the website. Nope. Let's try one more time.
Don't yell too loud.
All right.
Do it with sexy tone.
Whoa.
All right.
Hello, everyone.
All right. Welcome. Welcome to Rated NA.
You might have to go just a hair louder.
Okay.